It was his father, Salman Thaseer, the governor of Pakistan, Punjab, who was assassinated. And just a few months later, Shahbaz Thaseer was abducted from Lahore. For almost half a decade, Shahbaz Thaseer lived in captivity of the Pakistan Taliban, and he was brutally tortured each and every day. He would receive, would you believe it, up to 500 lashings per day. The Taliban terrorists cut open his back and even sewed his mouth shut. Shahbaz lived this sorrow for 1,652 days till he miraculously escaped. In March this year, Shahbaz had an emotional reunion with his family members who had absolutely no contact with him for the last 4.5 years. Shahbaz Thaseer's sensational abduction and dramatic release has certainly made international headlines. And now it's over to managing editor TVTN Rahul Kanwal for more on this.
After 1,652 days in captivity, Shahbaz Thaseer is finally a free man again. I want to go across live and exclusive to Lahore. Joining us from there is the son of the slain Punjab Governor Salman Thaseer. Shahbaz Thaseer is joining us on India Today. Shahbaz, welcome to India Today. After being in the captivity of the world's most dreaded terrorist, how does it feel to be a free man again?
I didn't realize it was that many days. You know, it's an amazing question. A lot of people have asked me, but I was actually telling a friend of mine the story yesterday, and I told him that, you know, I never believed that I was going to be free. My mind had become such that, you know, I was always trying to solve a problem. And I thought that the guy who had helped me in jail in Afghanistan maybe would take me to a new safe house and keep me there for, you know, some kind of a cash trade. So it was always in the back of my mind. And I remember the Taliban that brought me to Pakistan, as they drove off because I didn't have an ID card and it would be a problem for me to get into Quetta. And as they drove off, I just sort of collapsed on the ground there. And just started laughing. I mean, I just started laughing. There's no other thing. I just thought, you know, 4.5 years ends on this road in Kuchlak in a funny manner. It was, I found humor in it. So
you're saying, Shahbaz, that there was no ransom that was paid, there was no heroic rescue. It's just one of those things that they pretty much had no option but to let you go because you didn't have an ID card, and they were concerned you wouldn't be able to enter Quetta, and that's why they had to let you go. That's quite one way of ending the story. You'd been in their captivity with no way out, and suddenly they decide to let you go.
No, see, these weren't my kidnappers, and they had no idea who I was. I'd actually gotten help from someone in jail. My kidnappers and the Afghan Taliban, my kidnappers belong to a group called the Uzbekistan Islami Movement. And they and the Afghan Taliban went to war because the Uzbeks had decided to go with Abu Bakr Baghdadi, who is the self-declared Khalifa in Iraq and Sham, in Syria and Iraq. So, you know, it was, you know, in a hopeless situation, an internal sort of problem between these groups. There was a war. I was taken as, you know, as a war prisoner. The Afghan Taliban refused to believe my story. They gave me a sentence anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, and we were all shipped off to Rozgan from Zabul in Afghanistan. And I basically found this guy who helped me, but I had offered him money. I told him, I will pay you if you help me, just take money from me, but save me. And he had told me that the Afghan Taliban don't believe in ransom. So, you know, it was this strange sort of way back. It wasn't like, you know, my kidnappers didn't set me free, but people who could potentially kidnap me didn't know who I was, and just over an ID card drove away. And suddenly, you know, on the 8th of March, I was just in control of my own destiny. It was amazing. And also, you have to remember, when I say control, I was, you know, I only had a little bit of money in my pocket in the middle of nowhere, Balochistan, where, you know, where I had been told that, you know, they hate Punjabis, and I had already been acting a certain way And you know, I had convinced people that I had come from England, and I was a jihadi who'd come from England, because I had to make up a story. If somebody found out who I was, it would have been very difficult for me, and I had to stick to this. While traveling with these Taliban, I myself didn't know if they know who I am, while also putting up a story. And I mean, amazingly, it just led to my freedom, which is, for me, it just...
Shahbaz,
I mean, it's funny for me, you know. My first reaction was laughing, and I still find it amazing. It's like a miracle, and it's funny.
Shahbaz, I must say, it's not funny. It's an incredible story, the kind of stuff that you'd read about in a best-selling fiction novel. It's also the kind of stuff you'd see in a Hollywood flick, but it's not the kind of thing that you expect a regular person to go through. Here you are one fine day, leading a regular life, and then suddenly you're plucked out, kidnapped, and then you're with these barbarians. Tell me, your mother, your sister, your wife were running a long-standing campaign to try and ensure that you were free. What was the first thing that you spoke to them about? How was it when you just picked up the phone, spoke to them and said, hey, I'm a free man again, come get me?
See, that's the amazing thing. For me, I had already convinced myself that, you know, that maybe my family has given up. And any human being, you know, it's so long, that, you know, months without contact. You know, you're living in this extremely dangerous place and extremely dangerous situation. There's war all the time. But see, I had trained myself in a way that when I got to this place in Balochistan, Kuchlak, I knew, look, I have to call my mother and I have to speak to her in a certain way. No one can hear me. My surroundings aren't very friendly. This could all start all over again. So I was very calm. I called my mother. I told her, I'm here, help me. And she was unbelievably very calm as well, and sorted out, you know, my pickup from there. And the amazing thing was that then, basically, once I was in safe hands and I had been picked up by the security services, was the first time I spoke to my mother. And obviously it was very emotional. I spoke to my wife, and, you know, just hearing their voices, it had been so long, and I was forgetting them. And just to hear them and know that it's just a matter of, you know, just minutes or hours before I see them, it was incredible.
Shahbaz, how difficult has it been for you to try and bring your life back on track? You spoke about being tortured, you spoke about your skin being cut, knives being used on you, how you thought that, you know, you may never get out. How difficult or easy has it been to leave behind your life in captivity and get back to leading a real normal life again? Does it even seem real to you?
You know, it's easy to leave behind the life in captivity, because even while I was in captivity, I would tell myself that this is my situation, but I will never allow it to be permanent. And I will never accept it. I will not accept that I am a prisoner, that I am not free. And that's the stance that I very clearly took very early on during my abduction with my kidnappers. And for me, it was a constant battle, because, you know, there was physical torture, which was extravagant things that they made to basically pressurize my family. Those things were made on video for my family. But, you know, there was a daily torture, whether it was a mental thing, whether it was, you know, just the guard, you know, beating me around, or, you know, just making my life very difficult. But, you know, it was a struggle between me and them, where they were trying to break my spirit. They were trying to break my mind, me as a person. And, you know, I could not allow that. I could not allow to be broken, because in my heart, I had to come back to my life, to my family, to my wife. You know, there are not a lot of people in this world who, you know, it's amazing. I came back and she was there, and she, you know, for both of us, it was a struggle and it was a journey. Just to see her, I can't, you know, I had to be strong, because my entire family was crying. So I actually didn't cry, but, you know, I was hugging them and sort of saying, yes, I'm here, you know, cracking a joke. But just, you know, seeing them, I remember when my eyes sort of connected for the first time with my wife. It's just, I melted inside, and I can't describe the moment. It was, you know, the happiest moment. I don't think anything could make me happier than that moment.
I can imagine what kind of an emotional reunion this would have been for the entire Thaseer family. Tell me, Shahbaz, was there any moment during your 4.5 years in captivity when you thought that this is it, you know, this is where my life ends, these people are going to kill me now, I'm not getting out of this one?
the entire thing was a death experience, you know. I mean, from the beginning of how I was picked up by armed guys, they just jumped me, you know. I'm just a normal guy, I mean, you know, who was trying to live a normal life, and suddenly this happened to me. And I wasn't prepared for anything, you know, drone strikes, jet strikes, army operation. And I was, by the way, very grateful for the army operation. If the Pakistan army hadn't done this operation, I don't think I would have ever had the opportunity to be free, because these guys had made a safe haven inside, you know, this very, very dangerous area in Pakistan. And so I had, you know, absolutely no hope that, you know, this ordeal could ever end. And, you know, just I somehow crawled my way back. Like I keep telling my wife, I basically came back from the dead to just sort of, you know, have a conversation.
You have come back from the dead in many senses, and in, you know, in a way that most people will never even imagine. Tell me, for someone who's come back from the dead, quite literally speaking, where do you see your life go from here? Have you thought about what you'd like to do from here on? Would you like to enter politics, try and set right some of the problems that you've seen around you, try and join mainstream politics like your father and try and fix some of those issues that confront Pakistan?
I'm still young. I want to do so much, you know, because for 4.5 years, it's like somebody has pulled the plug on your life, and, you know, it's just, it's not moving. Like time is moving, but you're not. It's so strange, I can't explain it. And I just, you know, I have like this amazing energy that I just feel like doing so much. Like, I'm scared of flying, but, you know, I told my wife I want to jump out of a plane, so she's like, you know, trying to control some of my, you know, crazy adventurous sort of energy. But, you know, I've started working. I love going to office. It's just, you know, just normalcy sort of restored, and it makes, you know, it just, I love meeting my friends, my family, you know, my dogs. You know, those are the things that I look forward to. I never believed I would have these things again. You know, just to sit down and have a meal with my family. You know, I never thought that would happen, and I didn't think it would happen for them either. But the amazing thing is they never gave up, and I somehow, you know, came back, and so we're just all happy to be around each other.
Tell me, Shahbaz, you know, earlier you were the son of a very successful Pakistani politician. You were going about living your own life. Now you've come back with a very unique experience. What kind of responses have you seen from ordinary Pakistanis, from people you meet around you? How do they relate to this man who's come back from the dead?
You know, that's hard for me to say. Some ordinary Pakistanis sort of say that, you know, he's made up some story, he's never been tortured. And then there's some ordinary Pakistanis who take a stand for me. And I see it happening, but, you know, for me, my story is my story. I mean, it's my story. What I went through made me a very patient person. And if you believe it or not, people have said things to me during my abduction that, you know, sort of things that a normal person thinks that would be insulting, just don't insult me. And, you know, I said this in another interview, I'm sort of taking my life one step at a time. For me, I'm very lucky because each step is with my own decision and not someone else's. And I don't know how the ordinary Pakistani perceives me, you know, but I would just want them to think that, you know, I did struggle. It is a struggle. My family struggled. My family struggled because my father believed and had a different point of view about something.
Earlier this year, Shahbaz, when Mumtaz Qadri, the bodyguard who assassinated your father, was executed in a prison in Rawalpindi, there were many Pakistanis who came out on the streets in his support. They believed that what he had done in killing a person who supported the blasphemy law was right. How do you respond to a view on the street that believes that your father's assassin, the bodyguard, was right, and your father, the liberal modern politician of Pakistan who spoke against blasphemy, spoke for minority rights, that what he was saying and doing was wrong? How tough is that for you?
Look, I mean, it's ignorance. I've said it before, and ignorance worries me, it bothers me. But I think the real problem here that we should talk about is, you know, what drives these people to hate so much, to celebrate murder? Because, you know, my father is one side, but I was with the people who, after the horrendous Peshawar school attacks, where innocent souls were murdered, were celebrating. And I told them, I was like, what you have done is not wrong on just a human basis. Religion doesn't allow it. And you will suffer not only in this life but the next. And you know, even other terrorist groups were saying we have nothing to do with this, because it was a human tragedy where innocent children were murdered. But I was with the people that celebrated it. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm baffled. I can't tell you why. Is it education? Is it lack of opportunity? You know, how can they celebrate? But maybe it is education and lack of opportunity, and that's what the governments, and it's not just Pakistan. This is not Pakistan's problem anymore. It's a global problem, and it has to be addressed at a global level.
What you're saying is very important, because you're saying you were with a group of terrorists who are actually celebrating the brutal murder of young kids, and that's a problem that India has with Pakistan when it comes to its India policy, that Pakistan believes in taking on those terrorists who are hurting Pakistan and yet does nothing against the likes of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Hizbul Mujahideen, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, those terrorists who are hurting India. They're considered national assets. How do you, given the unique experience that you've been through, see Pakistan's policy on terror when it comes to India?
Look, I'll be honest with you. Pakistan is carrying out a massive military operation in the tribal areas, and I can tell you this as a first-hand witness. No one can go in those areas. No one. There is no honest media report that you can honestly say that this is an honest media report, because no one can go there. They're only getting information from, you know, from inside. I was inside, and I am telling you that the Pakistani army has carried out a very serious operation in the tribal areas, where it's not, you know, I heard this thing about good Taliban and bad Taliban. You know, I'm not a Taliban, and I was on the run for my life. And you know, that's the first thing that they've done. I think they need global help. This is a problem that has existed for a long time, and globally, everybody needs to help. If Pakistan has to, I agree, Pakistan has to get more serious, but Alhamdulillah, the army has taken this step. The government has backed them. Civil society has backed them. Fractions in society in Pakistan, I mean, most of them have backed them. And now globally they need to be backed. And this is not just a problem in Pakistan. It's in Afghanistan, you know, it's in Iraq, it's in Syria, it's in Africa, you know, countries in Africa, it's on the borders of Europe. So it has to be addressed by global, you know, there has to be a global strategy for it. And I'm, you know, honestly, I'm not a politician. I can just tell you that I was there. I saw the army take an offensive. I was happy, though I was running away. I was still happy that thank God these guys are running away, and that offensive led to my escape. And I believe it also led to the former Prime Minister, Mr. Yusuf Raza Gilani's son's escape, because his kidnappers were pushed to Afghanistan as well. And so, you know, I can't speak for him, but I am very lucky that the Pakistan army carried this operation out.
You know, it's been fascinating speaking to you, Shahbaz. I have one question in conclusion. How does Shahbaz Thaseer intend to lead the rest of his life in comparison with the way that you were going about leading your life in the past? What's the one lesson you learned while you were in captivity with the Taliban?
You know, that one has to have patience. One has to be, you know, you can only be headstrong. You can only fight to live if spiritually you're very strong. And I really believe this, that people all over the world prayed for me. Somebody messaged me from America where they said, you know, we had held a church service and we prayed for you. Somebody messaged me from India and said, you know, I went to my mandir and I prayed for you. You know, people, it's not just Pakistanis that prayed for me. It's people of different religions. And, you know, I'm so grateful. It's so emotional for me, because I was with the people that prayed for my verse. But this international support that I have, it was just, you know, it's really heartwarming. And, you know, every day is a new day for me, and I look at it as I'm an optimist, so I look at it in an optimistic way. And I think that, you know, I just wanted to thank all the people that prayed for me, because I really believe it's those people that brought me back.
Shahbaz, not many people stared death in the face for 1,652 days, and that too in captivity with the Taliban, and then come back to tell the tale. You've literally come back from the dead, and we wish you all the best. The fact that you've still got the joie de vivre, the fact that you are still so enthusiastic about the days that lie ahead, and you're so willing to speak about it so candidly, is truly appreciable. Thank you so much, Shahbaz Thaseer, for joining us on India Today.